Hey folks, I wanted to go through the ballot for tomorrow's election. I've gone through and done some research on it, and I just figured I might as well share what I've learned if anybody wants to know anything else. This is the Louisiana ballot, which gets a lot of crap sometimes for allowing people like David Duke here to wind up on the ballot. But there's a plus side to having significant and easy ballot access, is that we have options that maybe some other states don't have. So here, this is the presidential electors, the ones who will be on my ballot, presumably in the order that they are on it. And I don't think I need to discuss Hillary Clinton very much. If you are a Democrat, you are probably voting for her. If you are anything other than a Democrat, you are probably not voting for her. So that was easy. The real question is, what about the Republicans and the libertarian type folks? I think for Jill Stein, the Green Party, if you know who Jill Stein is, then you know whether or not you're voting for her. Well, basically, if there's any hope that you would have ever voted for Jill Stein, you probably already know who she is, and you're probably already voting for her. She's primarily running on environmental awareness and not being Hillary Clinton. Not being Hillary Clinton is a running theme for candidates this year. So Gary Johnson and Bill Weld, those are the Libertarians. The Libertarian Party likes to think of itself as fiscally conservative and socially liberal. They are, say, pro marijuana and anti taxes. Um, I think if you're a Constitution person, like you really want the Constitution to be respected, the Libertarian Party is your best choice. The Constitution Party I looked up, and they are more like a Bible party. They, for instance, are very much in favor of, quote, protecting our First Amendment rights by enforcing obscenity laws. And yeah, obscenity laws are the opposite of the First Amendment rights. They are very pro life in all cases, no exceptions, but are decided from fertilization until natural death, but are decidedly absent on whether or not the death penalty is constitutional. Um, which would certainly seem to be an issue or maybe an exception to their natural death clause there, but I'm not sure. Um, the other thing that really kills them for me as far as a constitutional party is that they believe that marriage should be exclusively one man and one woman as God intended, and their constitutional basis on that is that Noah Webster, who was one of the founding fathers, theoretically, he mentions that the Constitution and our founding documents are based upon biblical principles, which we hear a lot. Um, the Constitution clearly cannot be subsumed by the Bible, which is what they're saying, that the Bible should supersede the Constitution, which makes you not a Constitution party. That makes you a Bible party, which is fine. There should be a Bible party so that Christians who want to vote for a Bible party can vote for them. And I guess if you're part of the Bible party or would love to be a member of the Bible party, you can vote for Darrell Castle and Scott Bradley of the Constitution Party, because here in Louisiana, we have choices like this. If you're a Republican, you have the option of voting for Donald Trump, who is technically the Republican nominee. He is going to win Louisiana. He will win Louisiana by an enormous margin. Every single electoral vote from Louisiana will go to Donald Trump. So if your sole platform is defeating Hillary Clinton, it doesn't matter because she's not getting a drop of Louisiana's electoral votes anyway. Which means you don't have to vote for Donald Trump just because you want to keep Hillary out of office. And that's good because Donald Trump is really a reprehensible human being. I know there are a lot of pro life voters who are tempted to vote for Donald Trump because they think that if he wins, he will appoint a pro life justice, and that has a chance to overturn Roe versus Wade in Antonin Scalia's seat. But Donald Trump is full of it. Like, he's a liar, dude. He's selling that seat to the highest bidder. Also, again, he's a reprehensible human being, and I couldn't vote in good conscience. I mean, I left the Republican Party when they nominated him because I couldn't be a part of a party that would promote him for president. Like, I mean, you can't have a president who's making fun of like disabled folks or military heroes and treats women like shit and like wants to. He's just a terrible person. He's a terrible politician. He doesn't deserve my vote. He doesn't deserve your vote. I can't think of a single reason why a decent moral person in Louisiana would vote for Donald Trump. Like, there just isn't a good reason to do it. The only reason to vote for Donald Trump is if you actively like Donald Trump and like the things he stands for and like the person that he is. Voting for Donald Trump because he's not Hillary Clinton is a false argument, because Donald Trump is already getting all of the electoral votes for Louisiana. Like, the idea that somebody would put their name next to his as a, like, fu to Hillary is bizarre and wrong-headed. And, like, I can't think a good person would do that. So if you are, say, a pro-life voter, the Constitution Party is very pro-life. It's our family, it's our children party is very pro-life. Life, Family, Constitution is very pro-life. Um, you could certainly vote for any of them, and your ballot at that point would be counted as a pro-life vote, a vote purely for pro-life. Also, a vote against Donald Trump. And I think it's important that Republicans and people who aren't Democrats generally stand up and vote for somebody who isn't Donald Trump, because we need to change the direction that the Republican Party is headed in, and voting for Donald Trump supports the direction that the Republican Party is headed in. Which brings me to Evan McMullin, this guy. So he's a veteran, and he is essentially what a Republican was before Donald Trump. Like, he's too inexperienced to be president, but he still has more experience than Donald Trump. Um, and I think if you're just like an actual Republican who believes in, like, limited government and the party of responsible people, he's probably your best vote. Um, I think he has a really good chance of winning Utah, actually. Um, so it'd be nice, if a guy won a state, mostly because Mormons take their religion very seriously, and, like, seriously religious people can't in good faith vote for Donald Trump. That just yeah, it's completely, like, I say that good religious people. I shouldn't judge other people's religions at all, but my understanding of most major religious beliefs are that you should treat people better than Donald Trump treats people, and you wouldn't support and promote a person who treats people that poorly, um, to be the person in charge of you. Like, yeah, that's not a thing that I think a good person would do. Um, if you're a Bernie person, a never Hillary Bernie sort, there are the Socialism and Liberation Party, the Socialism, Equality, Anti-War Party, and the Socialist Workers Party, all of whom will just count as uh, anti-Hillary Bernie sort of votes. So, if we can get a couple thousand votes for any of the pro-life parties or any of the Bernie parties, then your voice will still get heard, even though your vote won't be for the guy who ends. Okay, yeah, for the guy Donald Trump who ends up winning all of Louisiana's electoral votes. That's not even in question. Hillary's not even contending the state seriously. So yeah, you can still make your voice heard by voting for someone else, be it the Libertarians, the Greens, Evan McMullin, any of these socialist parties, any of these pro-life parties. Like, the thing that matters to you, these are the people you should vote for. The Constitution Party is also, like, wildly anti-immigrant. So if you are an anti-immigrant voter, um, I guess anti-immigrant voters probably think of them as pro-border control. The Constitution Party likes to refer to it as pro-national sovereignty. Um, but if that's your issue, you can go ahead and vote for the Constitution Party, even though that might get linked in as a pro-Bible vote. It's a risk. I don't really know anything about the Veterans Party. I'm sorry, I didn't spend much time looking this one up. There's a lot of parties here, and it's just not that important because, let's be honest, it's just the presidential election. I wanted to know if there were people here deserving of my vote, because Donald Trump is absolutely not deserving of my vote. Um, and yeah, I think that there are places I can put my vote that will be meaningful and not make me feel, or not align me with a horrible person. Um, yeah, it's important to me to be able to look at people in the future and honestly tell them about my vote and that I don't have to be ashamed of the person that I'm voting for. All right, so that's it for the presidential election. Okay, now we're at the Senate race. You can see that there are a lot of folks here in the Senate race, and the way this works is this is actually a primary. This is not the general election. If somebody gets more than 50% of the vote here, that's it. They win. They're the senator. But no one's going to get more than 50% of the vote. There are 24 candidates. It's not happening. So what we're really voting for is who do we want to see in the general election? And this is important. The general election is actually in December. So it's early December. It's about a month from now. Hopefully there will be lots of coverage. I'll mention it on my Facebook so that people will know that they should go vote in the general election. So since this is a primary and not a general election, here are the things that I generally look for in a primary vote. Firstly, I'm not going to vote for David Duke. He's a Klansman. I think if you vote for David Duke, we can't be friends. Generally, my theory is I will never like hold it against a person who they vote for or how they were raised or what they believe in. But if you like are like affirmatively a Klansman and or affirmatively support a Klansman, then we can't be friends. Like there are 24 people here. You can vote for somebody who's not a Klansman. So beyond like the absolute impossibility of David Duke making it to the next round, which we all should pray and hope and vote that that doesn't happen. Um, Though I will say this for Louisiana, I'm proud of the ballot access that gives a guy like David Duke the opportunity to be on the ballot because that's also what brought us these 24 other people or 23 other people, and that's so much better than just having a couple of choices or no choices. And if you scroll back up here to the presidency, a lot of states have vastly fewer choices, and so they really are in a horrible position of having to pick between candidates that they don't like. We have the opportunity to pick probably between candidates we don't like and candidates we don't know. But at least we can register our vote as something else. Like we have the opportunity of voting pro-life or like as a never Hillary Bernie guy or whatever it is. We have that option. Not everybody does. Um, so back to the senator election. Apart from the impossibility of voting for David Duke, John Kennedy here is the former treasurer for Bobby Jindal, and I thought the Jindal administration went extremely poorly and bankrupted the state. And we faced a budgetary crisis after his term. I personally think that the Jindal administration has no place in the future of Louisiana, except that we are going to be digging out of the hole that they left us in for many, many, many years. If you will recall, there was a $1 billion shortfall this year, and there was a $2 billion shortfall, I believe, for next year. And John Kennedy was part of that administration, and therefore he is not getting my vote. I'm not going to vote for somebody who did an affirmatively bad job to get a promotion. John Fleming is my old congressman. I'm not voting for him either. He's one of the folks who has been very much behind like the fissure in the Republican Party, and I do support different views in the Republican Party. He's one of those guys who helped vote out John Boehner as the Speaker of the House, which left the Republican Party in disarray until Paul Ryan agreed to take that job, and that has significantly hurt the Republican Party. And also paved the way for the rise of someone like Donald Trump. So I'm not going to support anybody who was a significant part of that. Also, like, Congress has done a wretched job. I am not happy with the way Congress has represented me. I'm not happy with the work that Congress has frankly not done. And so I'm not voting for an incumbent congressman, and I'm sure as hell not promoting one to senator. So he's off my list as well. I think the best scenario is that we get a Republican in the general election and a non-Republican in the general election. And so if you're a Democrat, I would strongly suggest taking a look at Carolyn Fayard. I've read up on her and I've been impressed. If you are a Republican, there are dozens of options. Well, not dozens. Okay, a little short of 2 dozen options. You can read up on the folks you like. I've given you my 2 cents on the people that I don't like. I don't want to point anyone in the direction of, hey, you should vote for this person, because you should make up your own mind. Although I guess I did mention Carolyn Fayard a second ago because she's the most impressive Democrat that I read up on. So that's it. Don't vote for David Duke. I wouldn't consider voting for John Kennedy or John Fleming either, although both of them are worlds better than David Duke. I would consider voting Carolyn Fayard if I was willing to vote for Democrat. And other than that, read up on these folks. And also be glad that we have a huge list. And then on, in December, when the general election rolls around, we'll have to make a more significant, serious choice between hopefully a Republican and a non-Republican. The reason why I want there to be a non-Republican is because if it is 2 Republicans, that is not a genuine choice. And elections don't work if it's just, which flavor of Republican do you want? That's not democracy. So I want there to be an actual Republican and somebody who has ideas that are opposed to theirs. Okay, the U.S. Representative, 4th District Congress. I don't know why the Republicans like putting their names in quotes so much. Quote Rick John, quote Mike Johnson, quote Trey Baucum. I don't understand that at all. But you'll notice here we have a slew of Republicans and 1 Democrat. And this is the congressional district race here. This is also a primary. This is not the general election. And so my theory here would be, if you are willing to vote for a Democrat, you should vote for the Democrat, so that when the general election rolls around, again, we have a legitimate choice between a Republican and a Democrat. Which Republican you vote for? I'm not. I'm going to leave that up to you. I don't see any. There's no one on this list that I think is so reprehensible that I have to warn you about, and I don't see anyone on this list that I think is so brilliant that I must sing their praises. But if you want there to be something other than a Republican on the general election ballot in December, you kind of have to vote for the Democrat. I don't know anything about Marshall Jones. I'm probably not checking that box. But, if you want, yeah, you should vote for the Democrat if you want there to be something other than a Republican, other than 2 Republicans on the general election ballot. And I think that it's good and important for there to be a Republican and a non-Republican on the ballot, for the same reasons for the Senate, even if that Democrat is just going to get utterly demolished in the general election. It's important. I'm going to skip the juvenile justice court election for now. I may mention it later because this is so local